On today's show, I'm joined by Cavs guard Sam Merrill. We talk about his offseason, his initial impression of new Cavs head coach Kenny Atkinson, and what he expects out of himself this upcoming season on the Cavaliers. That's all straight ahead on today's Locked On Cavs.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Cavs your first listen every day. Check out the show anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Also, check us out on YouTube. Hit that like button, click the subscribe button, and don't be sure to hit the notification bell so you know when the latest Locked On Cavs podcast comes your way, like this interview with Sam Merrill. That's straight ahead, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network. But first, today's show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. And now for my conversation with Cavs guard Sam Merrill. Sam, thanks so much for doing this. Very much appreciate you taking some time to join Locked On Cavs today. Just wanted to start coming off of a playoff run into the second round, losing the Boston Celtics in 5 games. Obviously, there's been some turnover within the organization, but just personally for you, want to know how's your offseason going? What's it been like this summer for you?
Yeah, it's been great. I was able to take a little time off, obviously, as normal, and then just a lot of hard work. Been mostly back here in Utah, where I'm from, working out. But yeah, summer's good here. Weather's great in Utah. It gets pretty hot, so get to just work out, spend time with the family, play some golf. It's pretty low key for me.
So we will definitely get to the golf aspect of this a little bit later on. I was told you are somebody that I have to ask about the golf game, and I can't wait to talk about that as an avid golfer myself. But with your offseason, when you get into this situation and you have obviously established yourself as an NBA player at this point, but what are your goals for the offseason? What are you looking to improve? What's that sort of look like?
Yeah, it's looking to improve your strengths, obviously. So what ways can I be an even better shooter? How can I be more efficient as a shooter? Can I get into a little better shape? There's certain shots that I can get better at off the move, coming off certain directions, certain footwork, all that type of stuff. But then also, improving my weaknesses as well. And can I be a better finisher at the rim? Can I be a little better decision maker when I get run off the line? A lot of stuff that I feel like I'm very capable of doing, but because for the last 3 years, my entire focus has been just be a shooter, kind of gotten away from playing inside the 3-point line. And that's not something that I'm going to do a bunch, obviously, but spent quite a bit of time this summer just getting comfortable, shooting floaters, high finishes off the rim or off the backboard. And then obviously, watching some film on how I could be an even better passer when I get into those situations.
With that, and with being someone that has played a lot outside the 3-point arc and hoping to be able to move in a little bit more inside the 3-point arc, ideally for you, how does your role change away from just being someone that is known as, you're still obviously going to be a really good 3-point shooter. You're going to be able to incur damage from out there to other teams. But what does your ideal role look like?
Yeah, I don't, you want to stick with what works, obviously. So I know that, being a high volume shooter and putting pressure on defenses is coming off screens and with my gravity is what's going to be most effective and what's going to, hopefully help our team win the most. But it's about being better when that's not there. And I've never really been this type of player, to be honest. In high school, in college, even early on in my pro career, I had the ball in my hand a little bit more. So it's just, okay, I know what I'm good at. I know what's going to help my team be successful. But, what can I do when someone does run me off the line? Or how can I get back to being efficient out of pick and rolls as a passer and as a scorer occasionally, not a lot, but occasionally. It's just fine tuning those things, which I know I'm capable of, but just trying to be as efficient as I can.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you about today is just like your development as a shooter, because when you watch tape of yourself shoot, or I watch you shoot in a game, at shoot around, at practice, whatever, you have what I think of as like picture perfect form. Like if you were putting together an instructional video of how to be a good shooter, Sam Merrill is a guy that I think kids should be able to look up to and say that guy's just got the form down as good as you can have it. How did that development for you come about as you were growing as a basketball player? Has it just always been you picked it up right away, you were lights out as a shooter? Is there someone that was super influential in helping you get to that point? What has that growth been like for you?
Yeah, I think it's been pretty natural for the most part. I've always been a pretty good shooter, but I think my high school year or my senior year in high school, I made, in 27, 28 games or whatever, I think I made like 28 threes. I made like 1 3 a game.
Oh wow.
Uh, and then, I got into college and started shooting more and more. But again, I had the ball in my hands a lot. I was playing a lot on pick and roll and whatnot, but was always a pretty good shooter. And my form has been pretty similar my whole life, but my release has gotten much quicker since I've got to the NBA. And I think that's part natural, just getting stronger and getting more athletic. But I think it's also out of necessity. It's funny you say that. I watch a lot of guys and I think, man, I wish I had their form.
Really? Who do you say that about?
Well, it's like, and I know this probably isn't the case, but like I watch Max shoot in workouts, and his shot is just the exact same every single time. And I'm sure mine is too, but it just doesn't feel that way. And then like George too. Obviously, I think Steph Curry has the most beautiful jumper of all time. But that's kind of how I'm always looking for ways to improve and get better. And so I think that's certainly what's helped me.
So you mentioned the quick release, and obviously, at the level you're playing at, it has to be fast, especially in some of the situations that you are put into, particularly when, in certain situations in the past, you've been put into the game, and I think the other team kind of knows why you've been put in the game to light it up from three. How do you simulate that sort of speed or that sort of situation during the offseason when you're trying to improve that craft?
It's just always, I try to have defense in most workouts. Because for me at this point, if I'm just shooting easy shots with no defense, I don't feel like I'm really getting better. So a drill that me and some of our coaches will do a lot is the coach will be 2 steps away and they'll toss the ball to me and say, hey, you got to get a shot off in either 1 or 0 dribbles. So it's drills like that, trying to test myself, working on coming off a screen, and no matter how I catch it, no matter where my feet are, just putting it up. That's the kind of stuff that I work on every day, so that not only can have a quick release, but can have an effective quick release.
Right. I mean, it does you no good if the shot's quick and it never goes in. The
Yeah,
beauty of, I
exactly.
think, your shot is it's pretty quick and goes in rather frequently. So as you look ahead to training camp this upcoming season, obviously there are going to be some differences. Kenny Atkinson, now the head coach, a pretty different coaching staff. What have your initial impressions been of Atkinson and some of the assistant coaches that have been around so far?
Yeah, really excited about the group we have and the new staff. We haven't been able to spend a ton of time together because Kenny's obviously was helping out with the French national team, but had a couple workouts down in Vegas at Summer League, and then have had a couple workouts in Cleveland here in the last couple of weeks. And we haven't really gotten into system, plays or anything like that, but it's clear there's a way that we're trying to play, and we've been trying to simulate, decision making, quick decisions, playing out of advantages, and just trying to play the right way offensively. And I think it's going to be really good for us. I'm a big fan of the group we have, and big fan of the staff so far. So excited to get to know each other a little more going forward.
Today's show is brought to you by BetterHelp. And as time goes on, your life can be busy, and you can, as an adult at this point, you can maybe stop taking the time to learn something new. Think about when you were a child, how often you would learn something new. Well, as an adult, that time might not exist quite as often as you would like, or maybe that was something that was just kind of lost away in childhood, because kids are always learning and growing, and we just kind of can lose that curiosity sometimes as we do age. So I want to ask you, what is something that you would like to learn? I certainly have things that I want to continue to learn and grow with, and maybe it's finally improving my golf game, getting it to a point where I really want it to be. Well, therapy is a way that can sort of reconnect you with that sense of wonder, if that's something that you've lost, because your back to school era, well, that can come at any age. Whether you want to get back to learning stuff, whether you feel like you have lost that desire, that urge to be someone that is ever so curious, therapy can help, and BetterHelp can be your answer. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. 3 very important things, as you are just so busy, which I completely understand. I'm someone that's incredibly busy. BetterHelp is something that can be fit perfect to your schedule. So just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time for absolutely no additional charge. So rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. So one of the things that I've gathered from the press conferences Kenny has had, and just going back and watching some of his teams in Brooklyn, and even some of the teams, the organizations he's been a part of as an assistant over the last couple of years, but he is somebody that as a coach, I think likes to play with a quicker pace than you guys have played with the last couple of years. And I think part of the reason why you guys have just been a little bit of a slower team is because when you've got 2 bigs in Jarrett and Evan, it can be difficult to fly up and down the floor. But I would expect you guys to boost that pace up a little bit this year, maybe not top 10, but closer to the middle than the bottom of the pack. How do you think that a change in that area helps out you as a basketball player?
I certainly think it'll help me specifically. And again, we haven't had any team-wide conversations about exactly what we're trying to do. I'm sure some of our bigger names have spoken to Kenny about that stuff, but yeah, I just think the more free-flowing, and it's hard to explain, but I just think when you allow guys to just play and set screens for each other and cut and play fast and play free. Not that we weren't playing free before, but I think playing at a faster pace is something that could really help me and can really help our team. So assuming that's what we do, I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I think it will be, truthfully, I think that it is something that offensively will help to boost you guys. I think it can help to kind of open the floor up a little bit when maybe there have been times where there have been spacing issues that I think you specifically have been called upon to alleviate, certainly. I think that is something that can help to open up the floor for you, for the rest of your teammates, and just really make this offense pop in a way that I don't know that it necessarily has. I do want to switch over to the other side of the floor, because while you guys have been good defensively for a number of years, and that's something I don't expect to change with the Cavs. Sam, some people look at you and they immediately think that you're a poor defender because of your size, because just the way, I think a lot of it is your size, because part of it is because, let's face it, you are a white shooter. That's part of it. But you're not a minus defender. You're not somebody that I looked at that can be picked upon all that often. There are obviously going to be some mismatches at times, and that happens to anybody that plays the guard position. But where does your defensive mentality come from?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It is what it is. People are going to eat, and even, Max is a great defender. Guys still go at him. Like, that's just kind of the reality of it. I've never, to me, like the competitive spirit that I have, I've never understood guys that don't want to guard. Like, I take a lot of pride in that end of the floor and playing the right way and in competing. And yeah, I get it. Like, I'm not going to block any shots. I'm not going to get a lot of steals. Like, some guys are just going to score over the top of me. I'm occasionally going to get blown by, but if you watch the NBA, everybody gets blown by occasionally. Like, I think if you watch the film of me, I stay in front of guys. I battle. I force guys into the shots that our team wants guys to take. And there's a lot more to defense than just one-on-one defense too. So um, I understand that just kind of comes with the job. Like that's how teams are going to look at me and how people are going to look at me. But at the end of the day, like one thing I've learned in my time, you can't worry about what people think or say because there's going to be some good, there's going to be some bad, and whether you're the best player of all time, you're still going to have detractors. So all I care about is the product that I put out on the floor and helping my team win. And as long as the people involved see that, that's all that really matters.
And I know a good chunk of it is effort, and I think that you are on both ends of the floor. You certainly have to be offensively to get the shots that you get. You have to be a high effort player, but defensively, I think one of the things that you do really well, even if there are going to be times, and as you said, everybody's going to get beat at times, but being in the right place, being where you're supposed to be, I think is just such a big thing defensively, and that is one of those things that I do think that you do relatively well. And the way I look at it is that has such a big impact on why you are a solid defender. Maybe you feel differently, but that's the thing I see it as.
Definitely. And our previous staff would always talk about, like, if you're in the right spots, the other team will throw you the ball. And just being solid is, especially in the NBA where everyone's so good, is so important. Because if you're a high risk, high reward defense or you gamble and try and get steals and whatnot, like guys are just too good. They're going to take advantage of that. So, like I said, there's so much more to defense than just guarding on the ball, which obviously is important, but communication, which people don't see. Like you said, being in the right spots, playing hard, knowing scouting reports, knowing what you're trying to do. That's all part of it. So that's something that I certainly take pride in.
So looking back at what your career has been so far, you were the number 60 overall pick in the draft. You spent a year in Milwaukee, have an NBA championship ring, had I believe an ankle injury that kept you out for a significant amount of time when you were in Memphis. Now you've found a home in Cleveland. To you, how do you describe the first few years of your career?
Yes, it's been a grind for sure. Certainly been ups and downs, and has not been easy. I didn't expect it to be easy. I didn't expect this to be the path, obviously, but I've always had confidence in myself. Sometimes, when you get hurt, and I'm playing in the G League and I'm playing well in the G League, but nothing's really coming. It was tough. There were some down moments, but I've always had faith in what I'm doing, and understanding that as long as I do things the right way and try and be a good person, like things are going to work out. But I'm really, really grateful to be a part of the Cavs organization. It's such a well-run organization, such a great front office, and a great team as well. The guys immediately embraced me when I got called up from the charge. Saw what they thought I could do to help the team. And then last year was a lot of fun to be able to show that I belong and could be a good player at this level. So now for me and for the whole team, it's just about trying to take that next step.
So I'm going to make an assumption about you that as you were growing up, you dreamed of playing in the NBA, because I think most guys that do make it to the NBA, that's kind of your childhood dream. Is that an okay assumption to make? Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure.
So when did you know that you were good enough for that to be a reality? Because there's millions of kids all across the world that dream of being in the NBA, and almost none of them are good enough to do it. You obviously are. When did you know this was an attainable thing?
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, yeah, I always dreamed of playing, but I was a realist. Like in high school, I'd tell people I'm trying to play overseas. Like best case scenario, I'm playing overseas, because especially in Utah, that we have some good NBA history, but not a lot of recent NBA history. So I didn't ever think it was something that was actually going to happen. But you set your dreams and your goals and you work at it. And I think in my junior year, when I really had a breakout year at Utah State, was when I thought, okay, this could be a possibility. And then I went to the Chris Paul camp that summer, junior year, going into my senior year. The Chris Paul Elite Guard Camp or whatever, and I had a really good camp there, and that was when I thought, okay, I think I have a chance at this. But there's been times these last, the first 3 years of my career where even though I felt like I was good enough, I didn't know if it was going to happen just because of how things were going. So last year was certainly a blessing.
Today's show also brought to you by Gametime. It is your place to go when you are searching for tickets for all the events, whether it's the Cleveland Guardians as they continue their quest for an American League Central Division Championship. I know they're out west right now, but they're going to be back home soon, and you're going to want to support that team as they try to fight off Kansas City and Minnesota in the quest to win the division for the first time in a couple of years. So Gametime, the place to go if you're going to want to check out games at Progressive Field. Also can be the place to go for concerts and other events. Football season right around the corner. If you're an NFL fan, football season obviously already here. If you are a college football fan, Gametime is the place to go for all your ticketing needs. One of my favorite things that Gametime has is they've got the ability, whether you're going to a football game, a concert, a basketball game, a baseball game, whatever it is, in their app, they show you exactly what the seat you're going to be sitting in, what your view is going to look like. I think that's one of the best things Gametime does. That is a long list of things they do very well. It's the place I go when I want to go to a game, but being able to know exactly what my view, if I'm going to a Guardians game, what's it going to look like when I'm looking at home plate? What about when I'm looking at center field? I want to know those things before I buy a ticket. Gametime has you covered there. Gametime is the place I go when I'm searching for tickets to go to a game. Gametime should be the place that you go when you are searching for tickets to go to a game, a concert, or anything else. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms do apply, but create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's Gametime. So what was it like when you do get to the league and, as any second round draft pick, you're sort of fighting for your NBA life every single day. What was it like when you realized, okay, I'm here and I do belong in this situation?
It's I had a couple good games early in my rookie year. I had 15 points or something off the bench in a game my rookie year, and I was like, okay, this is it. Like I can do this. And then the rest of the year there wasn't a whole lot of opportunities to play, and then I had a couple quick chances my second year in Memphis, but nothing really there. And then again I got hurt. So again, I always felt like I was good enough, but it's hard. And I don't know if guys talk about this a lot, but as a young guy, you don't have much of a leash, especially unless you're a high pick. You don't have much of a leash. So especially as a shooter, like it's pretty tough when you go out there and like, okay, if I don't make shots here, this could be it real quick. And so I always felt like if I just got a chance to play in a few games in a row and just got a chance to get my feet wet and get a rhythm, that I'd be able to figure it out. And it took a few years to get that chance. But, finally getting that this last year and being able to show what I could do, that was a pretty good feeling.
I can't imagine. I mean, the short leash thing, you're right. And that is, I think, even amplified a little bit when it's not only just that you're not one of the higher picks, it's also that you're on a team that did win a championship, but before you won a championship was on a team that has expectations to win a championship. So I would imagine that is something that makes it so it amps up the pressure, because if you're not performing at that level, that leash is probably a little bit tighter than you'd like it to be, even as somebody that recognizes that you weren't, the number one overall pick that's tasked with turning around a franchise, that you are an ancillary piece as a rookie.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not a guy that feels like, anything has to be given to me. Obviously, you got to earn everything. And you have to realize that that's just the reality of it. Like when you're a young guy and you're not highly regarded, you're just not going to get those chances. So you have to, which causes guys to put even more pressure on themselves, but you just got to find a way to take advantage of it.
And that is obviously a very tough space to be. All right, so I put together a list. I have like 6 or 7 lightning questions. I want quick responses. I want to just get to know you a little bit more. Maybe outside of basketball, a couple of basketball things. But what do you do? What do you like to do to get away from basketball to get your mind off the game?
If I'm not spending time with family, it's golf.
Okay. Well, now we have to have the conversation because I was told to ask you. I talked to somebody, said, "Hey, I'm having Sam on the pod. What do I need to ask him?" And this person said, "You have to ask him who is the best golfer in the Cavs organization." So is it you or is it somebody else? Is it not you, but you're not going to admit that it's not you? Who is it?
Now, it's either me or from everyone I've seen, it's either me or Drew Olson, who's one of our assistants. We've played quite a bit, and I think I'm better than him, but he's beaten me more than he should.
What's your handicap?
3.5.
That's really good, man. That's a very good handicap. Have you golfed your entire life, or was it something like you picked up a little bit later on?
Yeah, I've played my whole life, but I didn't get serious with it till I graduated college. But I had played enough to, have a head start there.
That is awesome. That's a really good handicap. What is your favorite off-season vacation spot? And you can't say the golf course.
Ooh, that's a good one. I love the Phoenix area, Phoenix Scottsdale area, but it gets pretty hot during the off season.
Sure does.
My family went out to Lake Tahoe this summer. That's a pretty cool place. That was a lot of fun.
Favorite road city to play in? You can't say Salt Lake.
Playing in Milwaukee this year was pretty fun. That was my first time back.
It's a good environment, a cool building too. Nice new building, obviously that helps a little bit. What is your favorite game as a member of the Cavs?
Ooh. I mean, it's either my first big game against the Jazz, or that game 7 against Orlando was pretty fun.
Yeah, I think that Jazz game you had like 27 points. Just I don't remember how many threes you hit, but that was just an awesome performance. Most points you've ever scored in a game at any level?
I believe it's 38 in college, my junior year. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good performance, especially in a 40-minute college game. People don't realize how tough it can be to rack up points in college. It is.
Sure. I think I made one. I made 1 3 that game.
Really, that's it.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. And then lastly, your favorite golf course that you've ever played?
Ooh. It's either Chicago Golf Club, which I just played last week for the second time, or I got a chance to play. I played Muirfield Village a couple weeks ago down in Columbus.
People here in Northeast Ohio love that place. Absolutely love that place.
Yeah, it's unreal. Pretty fun.
All right, Sam. Well, I very much appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for joining Locked On Cavs. This was awesome. Best of luck to continued off season. Best of luck in training camp. Can't wait for media day and for the season to get started.
I appreciate it, Danny.
Thank you again to Sam for joining the show today. Very much appreciate him taking some time out of his summer. Hope you guys were able to learn a little bit about Sam. Hope you enjoyed the conversation that I did have with him. Was super fortunate to be able to set that up. And basketball season is getting closer and closer and closer. We are finally in the month that media day is. That'll be at the end of this month, September 30th in Cleveland, before the Cavs do hit the road for training camp. That'll be in Bradenton, Florida at IMG Academy. I will be there for at least part of training camp, so super excited about that. But keep it locked here to Locked On Cavs. Thank you again for making Locked On Cavs your first listen every day. As a reminder, you can get the show wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Also, check us out on YouTube. Just search Locked On Cavs, and I will talk to you tomorrow.